This is All India Radio. In the spotlight, now we bring you a special program on Kargil Vijay Diwas, a salute to the brave Indian soldiers.
Today, the 26th of July, marks the 23rd anniversary of Kargil Vijay Diwas, which has been celebrated across the country. The nation remembered its war heroes and paid tributes to the martyrs on Kargil Vijay Diwas. The day marks the victory of the Indian Armed Forces in Operation Vijay in 1999, when they evicted the infiltrators backed by the Pakistani army from high outposts in the Kargil sector. On the occasion of Kargil Vijay Diwas, President Draupadi Murmu today bowed to all the brave soldiers who laid down their lives to protect the country. In a tweet, Ms. Murmu said, Kargil Vijay Diwas is a symbol of extraordinary valor and determination of the armed forces. She said all the countrymen will always be indebted to armed forces and his family members. On Kargil Vijay Diwas, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu paid tributes to valiant soldiers who displayed unwavering patriotism and unmatched gallantry in protecting the nation in 1999. Mr. Naidu said the nation is ever indebted to the martyrs of Kargil for the supreme sacrifice. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi saluted all the brave sons of the country who have accomplished their valor in the defense of the motherland. He said Kargil Vijay Diwas is a symbol of pride of Ma Bharati. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said India salutes the bravery, courage and sacrifice of the armed forces. He said they fought valiantly in extreme harsh conditions to defend our motherland. Mr. Singh said their act of valor and indomitable spirit will remain etched forever as a defining moment in India's history. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh also paid tribute to the fallen soldiers who fought valiantly during Kargil War at National War Memorial in New Delhi in the morning. The three service chiefs, Army Chief General Manoj Pandey, Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar and Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary also paid tributes at National War Memorial. In the spring of 1999, the world slowly became aware of Pakistan's foray into the Kargil Daraz sector of the disputed state of Jammu and Kashmir, a provocation that would incite the limited war now known as the Kargil conflict. High in the mountains of the Indian-controlled Kashmir, India and Pakistan fought in an intense border clash for limited but important stakes. The Kargil War ensued for 74 days at a cost of more than 1,000 casualties on each side. It is a milestone event in Indian military history and one that represents a telling prototype of India's most likely type of future combat challenge. Major General Sameer Kumar Chakravarti, former GOC General Officer Commanding of the 28th Infantry Division of the Indian Army, during the Kargil War in 1999, he commanded 18 Garhwal Rifles, which received the Chief of the Army Staff's instant citation, Battle Honour Daraz, and Theatre Honour Kargil for feats of gallant action during the Kargil War, tells us about the challenges faced by the Jawans.
At that time, there were a lot of challenges which came, but firstly I told you about acclimatization. Thereafter, the administrative backup, snow clothing, rations, because it was not stocked for so many troops. But these impediments did not stop anything. They started coming and gradually everyone got his share and the boys were happy in carrying out the task. When I was inducted, I told the GOC that I want 6 days of acclimatization. We went into Matian, he dropped in a scepter, I told him, sir, we are coming from ground level and we will buy casualties for nothing. But he willingly agreed and gave us 6 days. So we started operation after those 6 days of acclimatization. But most of them who went ahead of us, that is 18 Grenadiers, 8 Sikh, 1 Naga, they went straight into battle. And the ones who came after me, after our battalion, also got some time. But it is imperative that acclimatization be carried out to avoid casualties that are weather casualties.
It is a sheer grit and determination of the brave soldiers who pledged their lives in winning the battle to fly high the Indian flag or come home wrapped in it. General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Army Staff, in an interview said that a similar incursion cannot be repeated and that we can defeat Pakistan at any point of time.
We have not hesitated in crossing the line of control to take action against terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We have also not hesitated in using air power. And Pakistan has now realized that if they are going to continue with this kind of proxy war, and in case our troops are going to suffer casualties, or there is going to be any kind of major damage to our infrastructure, these kind of actions will be repeated.
During India-Pakistan Kargil conflict, when the Indian Army was going through a tough phase, then the Sweden-made Bofors weapons came to the rescue of the Indian soldiers. On June 12th and 13th, the Indian Army had recaptured the Tolling Hills range from the Pakistani intruders. Pakistani intruders were targeting the Indian posts and logistic supplies by hiding behind the Tolling range, so winning there was a crucial moment for the Indian Army. They were trying to weaken the Indian Army by targeting more and more Jawans and also by attacking at the NH1 to take control. Bofors guns proved their mettle in the Kargil War in 1999 against Pakistan by destroying the bunkers and bases built on the high-altitude mountains with ease and causing heavy damage to the Pakistan Army. Air Vice Marshal Dr. Arjun Subramaniam is the President's Chair of Excellence in National Security at NDC. He is a retired fighter pilot from IAF who has flown MiG-21s and Mirage 2000s. He has commanded a MiG-21 squadron and a large flying base and held several operational, staff and instructional assignments in the IAF. He is an air-powered doctrinal expert, having crafted the current IAF doctrine in 2012. He was awarded the Ati Vishist Seva Medal for Distinguished Service by the President of India in 2011. We have Air Vice Marshal talking about the challenges and the role of Air Force in the Kargil War.
The first Air Force involvement in Kargil was a Canberra photo reconnaissance egg on the 21st of May, around the 20th, 21st of May. Now that aircraft was shot at in Batalik, came back and landed in Srinagar with one engine damaged. And that indicated to the Air Force leadership that it is not going to be a cakewalk. Air operations are not going to be a cakewalk. There are surface-to-air missiles. And that it was essential that fighter aircraft carry out attacks on these positions before the Army carries out its infantry assaults. So the first squadrons to get inducted into the Kargil sector were MiG-21 and MiG-27 squadrons. 108 Squadron from Adhampur, 17 Squadron from Batinda, and 51 Squadron from Srinagar were the MiG-21 squadrons. And you had, if I'm not wrong, 9 and 221 Squadron of MiG-27s who were operating from Srinagar and Avantipur. The initial attacks by the Indian Air Force is what in the kind of environment that you call blind. Blind का ये मतलब है कि targeting information नहीं थी, सही coordinates नहीं थे, जो इंफॉर्मेशन आर्मी से आती थी वो थी कि ये 0.4875, 0.45140, their grid reference is so and so, and then the Air Force squadrons have to convert it into coordinates for targeting. कोई precision weapons उस समय नहीं थे, and they had to carry out rocket and bomb attacks, rocket and gun attack. Initially जैसे आपको पता है पहले 2-3 दिन में 2 हवाई जहाज गिरे, एक MiG-27 और एक MiG-21 और एक हेलीकॉप्टर भी गिरा, and that forced the Indian Air Force to stop air operations for a while, reflect a little bit कि भाई सब ठीक हो रहा है or do we need to recalibrate air operations, and that is how the air operations progressed. उन दिनों में फिर क्या हुआ? Slowly more and more intelligence kept coming in from the army and from other agencies. For effective air operations, you need something that is called a targeting mosaic in order to attack the target properly. You can't just have one particular coordinate, you can't just have a height. You need to find out कि आस-पास में कैसा terrain है, आस-पास में क्या heights हैं, and then you go and identify the target and attack them.
What the Kargil conflict demonstrated, however, was the air power was relevant and could be potentially very effective even in the utterly demanding context of the mountain warfare at high altitudes. And the lesson learned, according to Air Vice Marshal Arjun Subramaniam?
As a military historian, it is my job to look at war and conflict from a detached perspective. And the primary aim of that is to take away lessons and offer perspectives for future generations so that the same mistakes are not made again, so that successes can be repeated. But at the same time, one also gets an opportunity to narrate stories of bravery and courage in a manner that a wide readership can sort of absorb them. To my mind, there are many layers of the Kargil conflict, and I will just sort of over a period of time, I will try and highlight some of them. But at the strategic level, it is that India managed to sort of evict intruders from their own territory by displaying a certain amount of strategic restraint and responsibility. But that came with a heavy price to pay.
In the Kargil War, the IAF rapidly adapted to the air campaign's unique operational challenges, which included enemy positions at elevation of 14,000 to 18,000 feet, a stark backdrop of rocks and snow that made for uncommonly difficult visual target acquisitions, and a restriction against crossing the line of control that forms the border with Pakistan. The Kargil War was fought for more than 60 days and ended with India regaining control of all the previously held territory. The victory of Tiger Hill was one of the crucial achievements in the 60-day-long conflict. Indian soldiers fought the Kargil War under the toughest conditions on difficult terrains at an altitude of 18,000 feet. The day marks the victory of Indian soldiers in recapturing the mountain heights that were occupied by the Pakistani army. The Kargil War was fought between May 8, 1999 to July 26, 1999 against Pakistan intruders who in the winters of 1998 transgressed into the Indian territory across the line of control and occupied fortified defences overlooking the NH-1A in Kargil Diwas and Baltic sectors of Ladakh region with a nefarious aim of terminating all military and civil movement on the highway. To honor the fallen soldiers, entire nation held various events to pay tributes during the 23rd Kargil Vijay Diwas commemorations to rekindle the pride and valor of the soldiers who took part in Operation Vijay.
मेरी मिट्टी की संतानों, कारगिल के वीर जवानों, मेरी आन के लिए, मेरी शान के लिए, तूने हंस के दे दी अपनी जान, तुझे भूलेगा ना तेरा हिंदुस्तान, तुझे भूलेगा ना तेरा हिंदुस्तान, तुझे भूलेगा ना तेरा हिंदुस्तान, तुझे भूलेगा ना तेरा हिंदुस्तान.
You were listening to a special program on Kargil Vijay Diwas, a salute to the brave Indian soldiers. This program was scripted and presented by AIR correspondent Lucy Gabriel Chattopadhyay. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on a mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.